Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to Art Happens. And I have Julie with me. Julie, I think we were just talking.
We were.
We were. But now we're going to talk more about Julie and her art and some topics she's chosen. And I'm just going to give it right up to you, Julie. Take over.
Okay. Well, the piece I did in, the piece I've done for Fun a Day this year is a little bit different than my normal body of work. This piece is all wool yarn, and because usually I'm working in plastic and plastic trash, but all of my work is surplus materials, and this wool yarn is surplus. It was somebody's leftovers that I got free at a hand weavers meeting, and some of the wool was leftovers from manufacturing that I bought from a jobber. But today I'm going to talk about my work with plastic trash, and I have a slideshow to share as I talk. So this picture, my cover picture, I borrowed from a website called condorferries.co.uk, and it's actually a ferry company in the UK, but they have a lot of statistics and information about plastic trash in the environment, and that's the subject of my work. So my sources for this talk are the Algalita organization and Five Gyres, and that's their websites there. I learned about the plastic pollution crisis in 2003 when I was working late one night on another art project. I learned about Captain Charles Moore of the Algalita Foundation and the Algalita organization from an episode of This American Life. So, plastic is actually a fantastic material that has facilitated wonderful advancements in medicine, food storage, shipping, clothing, shelter, and communications all around the world. But it is our waste and disposal of plastics that has caused a worldwide crisis. This is a sampling of the household waste that the research teams from these two organizations have found in the Northern Pacific. When I decided to make my work addressing plastic pollution back in the early 2000s, my intent was to raise awareness and to add my voice to a large number of artists and other people who were talking about this issue. By now, I think most people are aware of the plastic pollution problem and have heard about plastics in the ocean. But one thing that I like to mention, because I think many people will still reference the description that was in the media in the early 2000s that was publicized a lot, and this was more than 20 years ago, and that the plastic in the oceans is, quote, a huge raft of plastic floating in the Pacific that is something like twice the size of Texas. But a more accurate picture of the situation is that plastic trash that the research teams have found from their expeditions into the oceans is more like a diffuse plastic stew that stretches over areas of thousands of square miles. The Algalita and Five Gyres research teams report that they have actually found not garbage patches, but a smog, as they describe it, of broken up plastic pieces that never degrade and just keep getting smaller and smaller. And there's a sample of it right there. When I began doing artwork with plastic trash, at first, all I needed to do was look around my own household to find my materials. And it's been eye-opening over the years how much of my material here in my studio comes from my own sources. Lots of small toys that you see in my pieces came from my own children's bedrooms and from party favors that they got at kids' birthday parties when they were younger. This is one of my early pieces. It is titled Forever Yours, which refers to something that Captain Charles Moore has always said, that nearly every piece of plastic we ever manufactured is still here on the planet with us. And a lot of these items, this was from before I started collecting things from the outside. And these were items that came from my house, including the little heart figure that was some Valentine's Day thing, and it says Forever Yours. And so all of our plastic will be forever ours. So the second thing that was eye-opening as I continued doing my coiled basketry was how very easy it was for me to amass more than a lifetime supply of my plastic trash art materials. But as you look around the world, it's not that surprising when you start noticing how very much plastic there is and how much of it is meant to be used sometimes for a moment, and then it's meant to be thrown away. There was a time when I belonged to like 4 different art groups at the same time. I was a member of a hand weavers guild and an eco art group and 1 or 2 fiber arts groups. And I went through a phase where I couldn't go to a monthly meeting of one of my groups without coming home with a big bag of somebody's plastic refuse that they had collected and were delighted to give to me. And I was happy to receive them. I've used lots of them. And I still have lots of the things that people gave me here in my studio that is going to carry me through a long time, that I'll still be using it up to make new pieces with. This piece is called I Spy Something Red, and this resulted from someone giving me a brown brown paper grocery bag that was crammed full of these red net bags that vegetables come in. And I still have a drawer full of these. I also collected trash from in the wild, so to speak, from the streets of my own environment as I was traveling around my day-to-day life. And there I quickly learned some very important lessons, mainly about safety. And the first one was that if I see something on the roadside, I need to make sure that I can pull over and park safely. And sometimes I had to circle around the block to find a legal parking space to go collecting. I found out right away that I did not want to park in a precarious place with traffic zipping by. And then along with that, when I was picking things up, stopping my car and picking things up along the roadside, one thing that I became aware of was that I wasn't cleaning up. And I would go, and if there was a bunch of trash by the roadside, I would pick the things I wanted, and the rest of it was there, which was, it was kind of a funny incident. I was standing by the roadside in some weeds, picking up some plastic thing that I wanted, and in my own neighborhood, like in my own area, and somebody drove by me and shouted out her window, "Thank you," because she thought I was cleaning up. I felt a little guilty about that. So, but one thing that I always had in my mind was that doing this work and collecting this plastic, I wasn't like, I've heard other artists talk about that by using this stuff in their work, they're preventing stuff from going into the landfill. But I always felt that this collection of materials that I have is like a nano of a % of the amount of trash that's going into landfills. and the amount of plastic that gets away and ends up in the oceans and bodies of water. As I said, my intention was always to raise awareness of the situation. And awareness of the plastic problem did grow rapidly in the early 2000s, thanks to the media savvy of the researchers and the people of the organizations that I mentioned at the top. They did a lot of news broadcasts and radio, like the one that I listened to, and the awareness of the plastic problem has become widespread. Large corporations such as Wells Fargo adopted environmental consciousness, and Wells Fargo established what they called green teams in the 2010s, and they commissioned what they called green team trophies around 2012, and these trophies could address any environmental issue. And they commissioned artists. I happened to get a commission. And so they would award a trophy like this to a green team in one of their corporate offices somewhere in the world for a program or an environmental project that they had done in their own community. So with this, one of the art making issues that comes up when you're working with trash is the question of whether or not to wash the stuff. I have chosen to wash the pieces. Now, sometimes it would be bottle caps that I would find. I picked up a lot of stuff from gutters that now this year I certainly just feel like I wouldn't do anymore, but I would pick the stuff up and bring it home and wash it. A lot for hygiene and a lot just for my own comfort, because working with dirty materials it's very uncomfortable after a while or after not very long. And I picked up stuff in parking lots. I picked up stuff in gutters in my own neighborhood. I was always stopping my car to pick something up. And I have done work with hubcaps. And as soon as I stopped to pick one of those up, first thing I realized was they're plastic. And if you will see them all over the place, by the side of the freeway, in the gutter, everywhere. And they're plastic and they just fall off of these cars. But when you pick them up, there's this black film on the inside that is probably gasoline, oil, and rubber from the cars that, all of our cars spew out into the world. And we are all familiar with other associated problems with those things. But I have other artists, choose different approaches, what to do about the trash. And I have an artist friend who chooses not to wash the refuse she collects because she feels that it's part of the message and people should see how filthy it is. And she does wonderful pieces and garments made out of trash and installations. Her name is Marina Debris. She's on Instagram, and you should look her up. Her work is incredible. But so while I was developing my body of work and continued to exhibit and show this work and everything, public awareness of the problem of plastic trash has grown greatly. And most people are aware of it now. But what was disheartening to me is at the same time, the rate of the increase of the amount of plastic that is going into the major oceans, large bodies of water. It's been found in the Great Lakes and all of the large lakes on the planet. That has grown tremendously, even as the beginnings of all the plastic bag bans and various other laws and legislation have come into effect. So for a while, I became discouraged and I turned to another kind of work for a few years. And so I just wasn't coiling, and I stopped exhibiting work and stuff like that. And interestingly, this year, the pandemic helped me get back into my coiling work. And it was actually, so this piece is actually one that got me back into coiling. It's, I made this for my daughter. She got a house, and she mentioned I was there, and she mentioned that she needed some kind of a basket or a hamper in her kitchen for her kitchen towels and napkins. And so I said, would you like a basket made out of plastic trash? And she was like, well, yeah. So I made this year, and then that got me restarted in coiling. And then, of course, the pandemic, with all of the hours of imposed solitude in the studio available, I have restarted doing my coiling and exhibiting again. And then my studio had become a mess, as they do. And so then I organized and cleaned up my studio where I do my plastic work. So come December, I was in the right place and the right frame of mind when I got the email about Fun-A-Day again this year. So here I am. And here are a couple more pieces. This is a close-up of what the coiling looks like with plastic bags, and this is surplus telephone wire. And this is one of my pieces. It's called Attraction, as in opposites attract, because it's a complementary color scheme from opposite sides of the color wheel. And that's it. And then I have a couple of upcoming exhibitions I'm happy to be in soon. And so I'm in the process right now of doing new work. This is going to be in an exhibition because I'm joining you from my studio right here. And thank you.
Yay, that was awesome. Hold up the dinosaur cup again.
Okay.
I want to see it up close.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we could really appreciate what is the materials. Dinosaurs?
So the core is a one of those scrubby things from the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
This is a thread spool because it's one of the materials I use is waxed linen thread, and it used to come on these spools. So I have a few of these. So, when I have plastic to discard, it just comes immediately into my supplies here. And then this is surplus telephone wire that I purchased many years ago. So this cup is for an upcoming show. I'm going to be making 5 cups. The dinosaurs, I actually have to admit, I bought at the dollar store because when I was doing that Wells Fargo commission, I went out and acquired a few little bags of toys.
Yeah, well, they give you funding for those projects, right?
Yeah, that was a commission. Yes, that was something I actually got paid for. So,
nice.
How it is. Artists know how wonderful that is. And this is the title of this is going to be, We Are Our Own Asteroid.
Oh, so perfect.
Yes.
We definitely are. And we got some comments. People like the stuff, and I appreciate that you said you're not really discarding it, because I feel the same working in reused materials. I'm not really saving them from the garbage because I don't live forever.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? Who am I handing these down to, and do they want them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
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 And you have some more pieces there. Let's look at those.
This is a small, actually, these small pieces, this was a maquette for the Wells Fargo piece.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
There's a
um,
dinosaur. I see him.
Yep, there's a dinosaur. And then, small toys.
Hmm.
And I actually, for that Wells Fargo piece, because I tend to be an overachiever, I made 4 cup-shaped, sort of trophy-shaped things. And the one that I actually sent them as a maquette, I don't have because it fortunately sold. One time I was doing a
Nice.
booth sale, a booth show. So,
So do you drill holes in the dinosaurs, or are they just wrapped? Like,
no, I drill holes. I drill holes in everything.
mm.
Here's one. Can you see the holes?
Yeah, I see the holes. Yeah, I saw the light shining through. And so
We're actually, I'm sitting in my studio. I'm
so you
on my
happen to
work
have a
table.
drill.
It's a Dremel tool
Oh, so you're using a Dremel. Okay, cool. That
with a
makes sense.
tiny drill bit.
Mm-hmm.
And yep,
It's
I have
interesting.
experimental things.
Yeah. What else do you have there?
Well, everybody I think has experimental things that
Mhm.
didn't go anywhere. So it's kind of like
Oh,
a
look at that.
wire doily.
Yeah, it looks like a hot plate
Yeah.
or a big coaster.
Big coaster. I had a bowl of food because now I'm eating sometimes 3 meals a day in here.
Oh my goodness.
So I placed it on this so that I could have my bowl of food on my little doily. I
That's
don't know what I'm
perfect.
going to do with this. I never knew what I was going to do
Well,
with it.
it looks like you should add some ribbon or a clip to it and put it on your head.
See, I never think in terms of hats.
I put everything on my head.
Oh, and this could be like there are many religious organizations that this would be appropriate for of different religions.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Or it's just a really tiny rain hat.
Yeah. Yes, for little tiny rain.
You're like, oh, I'm a little cold, so let's put on the tiny hat. Oh, see,
A
told you.
fascinator.
A fascinator is what I make a lot of them out of the rubbish, so that's perfect.
Oh yeah.
See, that's why a clip would help there.
Or
Although
a brooch.
a brooch.
What do you make
A
of this?
shoulder
Oh,
pad.
it could be a brooch or a hat or a
Or
pterodactyl.
pterodactyl. Yes. Oh, we got an idea. So someone else said it could be a picture frame.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you could do a small embroidery and then attach it in there.
Oh, that's true. It's a good embroidery frame.
Yeah, there are a lot of wonderful embroideries with swear words in them these days. A
Oh,
lot of them popped up this year on the
yeah,
socials.
not sure why. Big hit. But I like this. I learned a lot. I know Marina also, and she does still collect stuff even during the pandemic. And then sets
She's
them aside.
amazing. Yeah.
She sets them aside for like 3 weeks before she works with them.
Oh, good idea. If you're
Mhm.
not washing them. But
She's also currently in Australia, so they don't have as big a pandemic as we do. So
that's right.
it's a little
Yes, she's in the Sydney area.
easier.
And
Yeah.
she does really incredible installations.
She does, but I know you do incredible stuff, so I want people to know that they could go, there's your Instagram, but what I wanted to bring up was your website.
That's my website. Thank you very much.
So you probably have all your shows listed on there so people can see.
Well,
no, not yet.
Well, my website, it's something that I don't update very often. So I took the page off with like upcoming events because it was always like terribly outdated. But I post to social media. I post to Instagram and I post to Facebook. So follow me there.
Yes. And then also see you on Knitting Around LA, which is your Thursday show.
Yes.
That's also a live stream.
Yes, with my knitting partner Judy, because I started out as a fiber person, and so there are lots of different fiber crafts, so to speak, that I do and I like to do. And I do the knitting. Well, there's a couple things about knitting. I get to work with materials that aren't dirty.
Yes, that's
You
true.
know, and it satisfied an a desire to work with beautiful materials.
Mhm.
And that's when I do personal knitting, just like normal knitting, not exhibition artwork or even wearable art. And then there's the yarn bombing,
Mhm.
which is, for me, it's just fun. It doesn't necessarily have a big meaning or a lot of message, or it doesn't have multiple layers of meaning. It's just for fun, for color, for the desire to make things, and that it, but it, you know, that has turned into a really great kind of adventure, and where I've participated in big installations.
Mhm. We've been in some of those together.
Yes, we have.
They're all fun. Yeah. So I'm bringing up the website. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Julie, for giving a talk. And watch this later if you missed. Thank you for whoever's watching the recording and in the gallery. And
Thank you.
this blog page I put up is going to have all the other talks. There's another talk at 3:30. There's talks all evening. So please tune in and come to the gallery if you want to
Great.
walk around and see the art. So
Great.
thank you,
I'm going to go
Julie.
back into the gallery and I'm going to sit here and work, because for the first time in my life, I can be in my studio and work and be at a gallery opening at the same time.
At the same time.
Amazing.
It's great. It's awesome. Yay. See you all there.
Thank you.